If you're starting Sober October and already feeling nervous or secretly hoping this break will fix something you don't want to admit is broken, you're not alone. Maybe you're trying to prove you can take it or leave it, or maybe you're hoping 31 days will be enough to reset everything. But you have to think about what happens on day 32. And in this episode, we're going to get honest about what just taking a break really means, why 1 month off is never the full solution, and how to use Sober October as a springboard, not a loop you keep playing on repeat. Let's get into it. Hey, everybody, welcome to the Addiction Unlimited podcast, where you get to learn everything you want to know about addiction and recovery. I'm your host, Angela Pugh, co-founder of Kansas City Recovery, life coach, and recovering alcoholic. To learn more about me, you can listen to episode 0 on your podcast app or find us on the web at addictionunlimited.com. Hello, my friend. Welcome back to another episode of the Addiction Unlimited podcast. I'm your coach, Angela Pugh. You're here because you're doing Sober October, or at least thinking about it. Maybe you're curious. Maybe you're trying to reset after a rough summer. Maybe you're proving to yourself that you can take a break. Or maybe deep down, you're hoping 30 days without alcohol will magically fix something you don't want to admit is broken. I get it. Sober October is everywhere right now. It's trendy, it's socially acceptable, and it gives you a little window to step back without having to commit to anything permanent. But let me ask you something. What's your plan for day 32? Because that's where most people get stuck. They power through October, feel proud for making it, and then wake up in November with zero plan, zero clarity, and zero real change. They tell themselves, see, I can stop whenever I want. And then they go right back to drinking, often harder than before. And I don't say that to be dramatic. I say it because I've lived it. In today's episode, we're going to talk about why 1 month off is never the full solution and how to use Sober October as a springboard, not a loop you keep repeating over and over again. We're going to talk about the truth about just taking a break and what it really means, how to know when your relationship with alcohol has crossed a line, why stopping isn't the same as healing, and what to actually do if you want real, lasting change. I'll also share the 2 times I took a break from drinking, once for 30 days and once for 60, and what those experiences revealed to me about myself, my drinking, and the lies we tell ourselves to avoid facing the truth. So if you're here to do more than just survive 31 days, if you're ready to stop resetting and start rebuilding, then this episode is for you. So listen, I've taken the 30-day break and the 60-day break. Neither one was meant to be forever. I was just trying to hit pause, right? Taking a step back. I still remember the first time I considered stepping back from drinking. I was in my 20s. I was living in LA, and I stumbled across this program called Moderation Management. It was like AA, but for people who wanted to moderate instead of quit. I thought, okay, maybe this is more my speed. I went on the website, and by the way, I'm 125 years old. So this is when websites were brand new. The internet was not what it is right now, right? Like I had just bought my first desktop computer. This was a whole new world back then. So I go on their website, and the first thing it says is like, the first step is don't drink for 30 days. And I swear to you, my gut reaction was like, well, that's a non-starter, and that was the end of it. I closed the browser, probably poured myself a drink, and continued building my drinking career. Now, fast forward 5 years, and something shifted. I still didn't want to quit forever, but it felt important to prove to myself that I could go 30 days. Like I needed that proof to quiet all the noise that had started creeping into my head about being an alcoholic. I needed to go 30 days to tell myself I was still in control. And when I actually did it, I was proud. Like I felt empowered and I told myself like, okay, I did it. Now I've proven to myself I don't have to drink every day. I can just drink on special occasions. I had control, or so I thought. And then I went back to drinking and I drank worse than ever. So a few years later, I did it again, another break. This time I was like, I'm just going to go as long as I can. I didn't set a time limit on it. I was like, I'm just going to go as long as I can. And I made it 60 days. But by then, something had changed. Deep down, I knew I needed to stop for good. I just couldn't figure out how. And this is why I always say to you, I couldn't figure out how to start stopping. And I know it sounds so silly because it's like, well, you just don't drink. Just stop taking the drink, stop buying the drink, stop drinking the drink. It seems so simple, but you can only understand how hard this is if you're an alcoholic. It is so freaking hard. And I just couldn't figure out how to stop for good. And of course, I knew about AA, but I wasn't ready for that kind of commitment or accountability. Most of the time, when people don't like support groups, it has nothing to do with AA, it's just support groups. Most of the time, when people don't like that, it's because they're not really ready for that kind of commitment and accountability. And I knew about AA, but I didn't understand it or know what it was really about. I was scared and I'm stubborn. Like I am a difficult human. And back then, we didn't have everything we have now. There were no podcasts, no sober influencers, no blogs, no downloadable checklists or how I quit drinking YouTube videos. None of that existed. So I did the only thing I could think to do. I stopped cold turkey and I stopped for as long as I could. And that was 60 days. Alone, no support, no tools, no plan. And then, just like before, I started drinking again, worse than ever. And at that point, it didn't take long for everything to start unraveling. And now I can see it so clearly, right? Those breaks didn't fail me. They showed me exactly what I needed to see. I was trying to prove to myself that I had some kind of control. And what I learned is I have none. Alcohol is way bigger than me. And I needed to learn that lesson the hard way because that's the only way I learn, unfortunately. So if you're doing Sober October or just taking a break, I want to talk to you today because this might not be the end. It could be the beginning if you're willing to see it that way. You're not just taking a break, you're gathering evidence. Let's talk about this idea of just taking a break because I know that language. I used it. I coached myself with it. I told myself I was just taking a step back, giving my body a reset, proving to myself that I wasn't addicted, that I wasn't that bad. But here's what I've learned, both personally and professionally. When people say they're taking a break from drinking, it's usually not random. It's a response to evidence. Maybe it's the evidence of how you felt last weekend when you woke up with that rock in your stomach kind of guilt. Maybe it's the evidence of what your kids saw or what your partner said or how you started Googling, do I have a drinking problem, and backing out of the tab every time it gets too real. Maybe it's the way your anxiety is worse than ever. The way alcohol has gone from fun to necessary. The way you keep trying to moderate and it keeps blowing up in your face. You don't randomly take a break from something that's going well. Nobody's taking a 30-day break from green smoothies and Pilates, right? You take a break when something feels off, when something inside you knows this isn't working. So if you're doing Sober October or you're halfway through a just to prove I can break, I want you to ask yourself, what evidence led me here? What patterns, what emotions, what behavior have I been trying to ignore? Because here's the thing, healthy relationships don't require breaks. And that's not just true with alcohol, it's true in every area of your life. If you have to step back from something to figure out how to deal with it, that's the relationship talking. And with alcohol, it's usually screaming. So let's walk through some big red flags, like 6 quiet signs your relationship with alcohol isn't healthy. The ones that people downplay or justify or ignore until it's too late. And the first one is you keep making rules and breaking them. I'll only drink on weekends. I'll just have 2. I won't keep it in the house. You're trying to create a system to control alcohol, which tells me alcohol is already controlling you. This rulemaking is exhausting, and the constant negotiation chips away at your confidence every single time you fail to follow through. Number 2 is drinking is your go-to coping tool. Stress, anxiety, loneliness, boredom, all roads lead to a drink. Even if you're high functioning, you get your work done, you take care of your kids, you show up. You've trained yourself to use alcohol as a pressure release valve. And that means you're not actually dealing with your emotions, you're numbing them. Number 3, you think about alcohol more than you'd like to admit. It's always something, right? How much is left? What will I drink tonight? Can I drink at the party and still drive home? Your brain is always preoccupied with the logistics of drinking. And that preoccupation is stealing mental bandwidth from everything else that actually matters in your life. 4, you've tried to moderate and it never works. You've done the experiments, the cutbacks, the clean eating paired with red wine attempts. You've gone from beer to vodka to seltzers to only on special occasions. If moderation was a real option for you, it would have worked by now. And here's the truth bomb. If you could moderate, you wouldn't want to stop. If you want to stop, it's probably because moderation has already failed you, probably many times. Number 5, you feel shame even if no one else sees the problem. This is a big one because your life might still look good from the outside. You're not in the gutter. You haven't lost your job. You haven't gotten a DUI. But inside, you know. And it's the internal shame, the private lies, the hiding, the sneaking, the secrets. That internal shame is what tells you more than anything else that this isn't okay. And number 6, your breaks don't reset you. They make things worse. This is what happened to me. After 30 days, I thought I had control. After 60 days, I just gave up. But both times when I went back to drinking, I drank harder, faster, and more destructively than ever before because I hadn't changed anything. I had just paused the behavior, not the thinking, not the patterns, not the emotional wiring underneath it all. And I know I said I was going to give you 6 signs, but I'm going to add another one because this one's major. It's when you keep drinking despite negative consequences. If any of these issues have come up for you, if someone you love has asked you to stop or cut back, if you've had a DUI, if you've embarrassed yourself in front of family or friends, if you've lost a job or have strained relationships with your kids because of drinking, and you still do it, that's a problematic relationship with alcohol. A non-alcoholic person would never have any of those experiences. And if they had any one of those situations I just listed, they would never drink again and never give it a second thought. So let's stop calling it just a break and let's call it what it actually is. A wake-up call, a moment of clarity, an opportunity to decide who you want to become. Because if you're here listening to this, nodding along, quietly seeing yourself in the examples I talk about, it's probably not about 30 days. It's about the fact that you're ready for something deeper. You just don't want to say it out loud yet. So I'll say it for you. You're not just taking a break, you're gathering evidence. And when you're ready to look at the evidence honestly, you'll realize this isn't about drinking less. It's about finally being done with the loop that keeps breaking your heart. And just to be clear, taking a 30-day break from alcohol is a good thing. It's powerful. It's empowering. It gives you clarity and distance. It shows you what your body feels like without the fog. It gives you a glimpse of who you are when alcohol isn't running the show. But here's the hard truth. 30 days off doesn't fix a 10-year pattern. It doesn't magically untangle the emotional habits, the coping mechanisms, or the trauma that led you to overdrink in the first place. It doesn't rebuild your self-trust. It doesn't release the guilt. And it definitely doesn't teach you how to handle life when things get hard and you can't numb out anymore. White knuckling isn't winning. Most people approach Sober October like a test. They grit their teeth, mark their calendar, and say, okay, 30 days, let's do this. And they make it. They push through, right? They avoid social events, swap wine for kombucha, say no to girls' night, go to bed early to dodge cravings. And then day 31 comes and they pour a glass of wine to celebrate. Because that's what this was, right? A challenge, a temporary detox, a box to check off. But here's what happens next, and you already know because it's probably happened to you. That glass of wine turns into a weekend binge. The shame comes roaring back. You tell yourself you'll start again next Monday. You don't. And suddenly it's 6 months later and you're drinking harder than ever. This is the cycle. Because we've been taught to believe that taking a break is the solution when really it's just the start. You can't just stop drinking. You have to rewire everything. This is what most people miss. Stopping drinking is the surface level change. It's visible, it's measurable, it's black and white. But the real work, the part that creates freedom, is internal. It's learning how to feel your emotions instead of avoiding them. It's unlearning the belief that alcohol is your reward or your treat or your escape. It's reprogramming your nervous system to not reach for a drink every time you're tired, anxious, bored, or triggered. It's rebuilding your relationship with yourself. And that kind of change doesn't happen in 30 days. It's why people relapse. It's why you keep ending up back at day one wondering what the hell is wrong with you. Nothing is wrong with you. What's wrong is the idea that short-term effort creates long-term transformation. It doesn't. It's what happens after 30 days. That's what really matters. I've seen so many people feel amazing around day 21, right? Their sleep improves, bloating goes down. You feel clearer, more focused, more energized. You start thinking, maybe I'm overreacting. Maybe I don't really need to quit forever. That's the trick alcohol plays on you. The moment you start to feel better, your brain goes, see, it wasn't that bad. You fixed it. You're fine now. And that lie sends you right back into the cycle. But here's what I want you to understand. Feeling better doesn't mean you're better. It means your body is recovering. But your relationship with alcohol hasn't changed. Your habits haven't changed. Your emotional default settings haven't changed. And unless you change those, the old you is always waiting for you on day 31. You can't motivation your way into a new life. So let's talk about motivation for a second, because that's what most people are running on during Sober October. They start strong, they're fired up, they're committed. But what happens when you have a bad day? When your partner says something that triggers you? When work stress piles up? When the kids are screaming, you haven't eaten, and it's 6 p.m. Motivation is nowhere to be found. And if you don't have a system, a plan, a toolbox, a support structure, you're going to do what you've always done. Drink, numb, escape, repeat. Motivation is a great kickstart, but systems create sustainability. 30 days will give you momentum, but only if you use it. And here's what I want you to take from this. Sober October is not a finish line. It's a launch pad. You have momentum right now. You've proven you can start. Now it's time to build, because otherwise you're just going to spend the next 6 months redoing the same damn challenge, hoping this time it'll stick. That's not power. That's purgatory. And you don't need to live there anymore. Let's take everything you've learned, everything you're feeling, and use it to create real change. And I'm going to walk you through exactly how to do that, what systems you actually need, what to focus on, and how to move from just taking a break to becoming someone who doesn't need alcohol anymore. Because that's the point. Not just stopping, recovering. So how do we turn this into real change? Let's slow this down for a second. Because if you've made it through a sober October before, or you're already a few weeks into quitting and already thinking, damn, I feel better without alcohol, then you're standing at a crossroads right now. And this is where most people will mess it up. They think the hard part is over. They think 30 days sober means they're in control again. They feel better, so they assume they are better. And maybe you feel that right now too. This little spark of confidence that says, see, I can take it or leave it. I just needed a reset. But again, feeling better doesn't mean your relationship with alcohol is healed. It just means your body is catching its breath. Your nervous system is stabilizing. Your brain is starting to clear. Your self-esteem is getting a tiny, tiny pulse again. And that is the moment when your brain starts negotiating. Maybe I don't really need to quit forever. I proved I could take a break. That must mean I'm fine. I'll just be more mindful moving forward. This is exactly where I fell apart, not once, but twice, once after 30 days, once after 60. Both times I had done the work of stopping, but I had done nothing to start building a life that actually worked without alcohol. No emotional tools, no structure, no support, no clarity around who I was becoming. Just the pause. And then the spiral. So let's talk about what it actually takes to turn this break into something bigger. Let's talk about how to move from I took a break to I built a new identity. Start with structure. When you stop drinking, you create a huge amount of empty space in your life. The time you used to spend drinking, the rituals around wine at dinner, the social patterns, the stress responses, the Friday night default setting, it all goes quiet. And that space feels foreign at first, sometimes peaceful, but sometimes terrifying, and sometimes both. If you don't intentionally decide how to use that space, alcohol will eventually come back to fill it. This is why you need more than motivation. You need structure. You need a rhythm to your day, a plan for the 5 p.m. witching hour, tools to regulate your nervous system when the emotions start crashing in, a way to measure progress and micro wins. This is exactly why I created my 90-day focus planner, because most people I coach don't need more information. They need a system that helps them stabilize and stay consistent. Consistency creates calm and self-trust. And self-trust is what keeps you sober. Not shame, not willpower, not white knuckling. Structure is what holds you steady when the cravings come back, when life gets hard, when you're tired or triggered, or you're just fucking over it. If you don't build that, you will default back to what's familiar, which for most of us is wine, denial, and oh shit, I'll try again next year. Right? Reconnect with yourself. Most of us didn't drink because life was amazing. We drank because something underneath needed attention, because we were tired or anxious or overwhelmed, because we didn't know how to sit with uncomfortable feelings, because alcohol was our reward system, our way to feel joy, to feel comfort, to feel something. So when you take it away, all those things rise to the surface. The anxiety, the restlessness, the why am I crying over laundry moments, right? The awkwardness in social settings, the emptiness on a Friday night. This is where most people think they're failing at sobriety, but they're not. They're just finally meeting themselves without a buffer. And that's the invitation, not to fix everything, not to be perfect, but to pay attention. What's actually coming up when you want to drink? What are you trying to escape or avoid? What patterns are showing up on repeat? This is emotional sobriety, and it's where real healing begins, not with counting days, but with reconnecting with yourself in a way that drinking never allowed. Decide who you're becoming. This might be the most important part. It's where most challenges fall short. They focus on what not to do, right? Don't drink, don't slip, don't mess it up. But that's not sustainable because your brain needs something to move toward, not just something to avoid. So ask yourself, who am I becoming through this process? Am I becoming someone who's calm in her own skin? Someone who doesn't need alcohol to survive a hard day? Someone who trusts herself again? This isn't about quitting. It's about stepping into a new identity. That's why you feel resistance. That's why you feel fear. Because the old version of you, the one who drinks to cope, to escape, to disconnect, she knows she's being replaced. And that's a good thing. But you don't just stop being her. You have to choose who takes her place. So don't leave that part vague. Define it, own it, start showing up like her, one small win at a time. Here's what I want you to know. If you've made it through a sober October before, you're starting it today, or you're a few weeks into a quitting drinking situation, you have momentum. But momentum without direction just leads you in circles, right? This doesn't have to be the part where it all falls apart again. You can make this the moment where everything changes, not because you white-knuckled your way through 30 days, but because you finally built something solid underneath it. Something that lasts, something that holds, something that isn't fragile or temporary or driven by shame. You're not here to survive sobriety. You're here to rebuild your life. And now's the time to decide what that life looks like. So let's make sure you don't just hear this episode and move on with your day, right? You've got momentum, you've got clarity. Now it's time to put some structure underneath it, okay? You can get the 90-day focus planner. If you're serious about making this stick, not just in October, but in real life, you need more than good intentions. You need structure, you need rhythm, you need a system that helps you stay focused and grounded and clear when motivation fades. And let me tell you something about this planner. I didn't just slap my name on a planner. I built this. Every page, every prompt, every layout. Because in my early sobriety, and as I'm building my business and prioritizing my mental wellness, I needed something that didn't exist out there. I needed something that gave me structure with a place to write it all out, that helped me track my emotional patterns, plan my day in a purposeful way, and stay focused when everything felt overwhelming. This is that tool. It has a clear framework to set and track your 3 top goals. It has monthly pages to plan ahead and stay aligned, weekly planning and reflection to track mood, mindset, and progress, daily pages to stay focused, prioritize and measure your energy, journaling prompts to help you stay emotionally clear and intentional. And you don't have to use all the pages. I don't use all the pages. As I've gone through it and used it over and over, I use the pages that work for me and I don't use some. And that changes too. Like sometimes I use the daily pages and sometimes I don't. But I love having them there when I do need them. It's not just about staying sober. It's about staying clear, consistent, and in control of your life. This is the tool I wish I had in early sobriety. And you can get it at addictionunlimited.com/planner. You'll find that link in the show notes. And even if you're thinking about what comes after Sober October, this is a great place to start. addictionunlimited.com/planner. And if this episode really resonated with you and really hit hard, if you know you're ready to stop spinning and actually build something solid, of course, you know you can always work with me. My 6-week private coaching program is designed for you when you're done screwing around and ready to get serious about creating change in your life, to be happier, get relief, to live the life you always wanted. Whether you're 10 days sober or 10 years, I'd love to work with you. And you could book a free clarity call with me using the link in the show notes, of course, addictionunlimited.com/call. And we'll talk about where you are, what's keeping you stuck, and whether coaching is the right next step in your journey. addictionunlimited.com/call. Today is day 1 of Sober October. Maybe you're feeling motivated. Maybe you're feeling nervous. Maybe you've done this before and you're hoping this time feels different. Wherever you are, I want you to remember this. You didn't decide to take a break from something that's working. You're here because part of you knows there's more waiting for you on the other side of alcohol. More clarity, more peace, more control, more you. This isn't just about making it through the next 31 days. It's about using these 31 days to build something that lasts far beyond them. And think about what's in it for you if you go all in. You wake up proud of yourself. You stop obsessing about what you drank, what you said, or how to fix it. You become someone who follows through, someone who doesn't need to hit rock bottom to create a powerful life. If you let this be more than a break, if you let it be the beginning of real change, you won't just get through October. You'll finally be on your way to a life you don't have to escape from. And that's the win you actually want. I hope you're having a fantastic day. I love you guys, and I will see you next week.
You've reached the end of another great episode of the Addiction Unlimited podcast. Candid and honest conversation about addiction and recovery. Be sure to visit us at addictionunlimited.com to join the conversation and access show notes and links to everything we talked about. Love this episode? Please take 30 seconds to subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes to help us improve and give you the information you want. Thanks for listening. See you next week.